Welcome back, sexy motherfuckers. Today we're going to speak about the most important understanding of the universe that you guys need to have to constantly quantum jump into parallel realities and parallel universes where you have everything that you desire. And today we have a lovely guest in the background behind the camera, my brother and student Olivier.
Hi guys.
Hi guys. So yeah guys, so today very important masterclass. Please listen to the end. As always, take notes, send them in the comments, send them to me on Instagram. Make sure that you don't have an attention span of the goldfish today, because everything that we're going to speak about is going to be extremely useful for every single aspect of your reality. I would argue that 99% of people do not know this knowledge that you're about to discover, and therefore it is absolutely crucial, guys, that you take notes, that you rewatch this video over and over again, because every single time you're going to rewatch this video, you're going to learn new things, okay? Esoteric layers are going to be opened for your consciousness over and over again. Very, very important, okay? So, what do we actually mean with quantum jumping into parallel realities? What really and truly is parallel universes, or parallel, what we call parallel realities, universes? Well, you guys all know, right? You've all seen movies, Netflix, Hollywood, whatever. You all know the concept of multiverse, right? From MCU or DC Comics, with the Spider-Mans and all that stuff. Funny enough, the multiverse is actually something that has been taken from quantum physics. And oftentimes, fiction is actually inspired from reality and spirituality. So, the multiverse, or parallel universes, is actually coming from a concept called the many worlds model. Many worlds model from a guy named Hugo Everett the third, okay? He was a quantum physicist, and basically how he came into this many world model theory and concept was when he tried to solve what we call in quantum physics quantum anomalies. And I'm going to tell you exactly what a quantum anomaly is. I'm going to actually do a little drawing for you guys. Quantum anomaly, basically, another synonym would be a paradoxical endless time loop. I know, it sounds complicated. Don't worry, I'm going to explain to you everything. So this is basically time, okay? This is the timeline, okay, with different stuff happening in your life. This is the time of your life, let's say, the timeline of your life, okay? Timeline of your life. This is where you're born, okay? This is your birth, okay? This is where you're born. So you go about your day, you go about your life, boom, 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 you become an adult, and then at one point in time, you build a time machine. Building a time machine, okay? Time machine. Why do you think a lot of guys and a lot of scientists are completely obsessed with building a time machine? Because it's an innate human desire to control time. Because, spoiler alert, at our higher level, soul plane, soul level, we actually control time, because time is an illusion and we control the illusion. Here, we are quote unquote slaves to the illusion to some extent. Either way, so you build a time machine, and what happens is then you go back in time before your death, and you meet your mother. Your mother, which is alive, and you meet your mother, right? The problem is, the fact that you came back and you meet your mother is shocked to death to see you, and therefore she dies. So she's not alive anymore. This is a little skull head. She's dead. But then that means that you were never born. And that means that you would have never built a time machine. So therefore, nobody was the cause of your mother dying. So therefore, your mother was actually alive, and therefore you were actually born, and therefore you were actually building a time machine. Then therefore you shocked your mother to death, so therefore you're not born, therefore you're not building a time machine, etc., 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 etc. So you understand, this in of itself is what we call an endless paradoxical time loop. Okay? Endless paradoxical time loop. Okay? And so basically that is another word for saying a quantum anomaly, because you don't have the solution of the equation if you still think in a linear manner. So what happened was that Hugh Everett, while studying this phenomenon, Hugh Everett III, what he came up with was the many worlds model, where basically you have timeline number one, okay, where you are basically born, right? Your mother is alive, You are born, your birth here, okay? Boom, 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 boom. Then you build your fucking time machine because you're a nerd and you're obsessed with having a time machine. So you fucking do that. Build your time machine. And what happens is then I'm gonna use this one. No, fuck that, this one. So you build your time machine. No, absolutely invisible as a color. There you go. So you build a time machine, meaning that actually when you meet your mother, you create another timeline where your mother is dead. You kill your mother, but in another timeline. Therefore, timeline number two, your mother is dead, therefore you are not born, and therefore you didn't build anything. Okay? So then what happens is that this is parallel universe 1, this is parallel universe 2. Basically, you created two timelines by building a time machine. This is where it came from to solve quantum anomalies. And it's actually funny because it's linked to ancient spiritual texts and other quantum physics experiments that prove this to be true. Is it clear so far?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. So stick to me a few minutes because we're going to add another quantum physics experiment, which some of you may know, but is extremely important for you guys to conceptualize and understand. One of the most important findings in quantum physics is thanks to the observer effect. If you look at the subatomic level, if you look at your skin, if you look at reality around you as a whole, but you look under the atom, that's what we call subatomic level. If you look under the atom, scientists argue for decades that they either see particles or they either see vibrations. But the thing is this, depending on observing, the act of observing, people who observed a vibration, saw actually that it collapsed into particles, okay? For people who didn't, when you remove the observer of the subatomic plane, right? So there is no observation, then there is a vibration. So this is the first result of the observer effect, and what it tells us is that the mere fact of observing a potentiality, because a wave and a vibration is a mere potentiality, actually condenses and creates a first degree of materialization. Why is this so important? Because this in and of itself means that being aware already collapses potentiality into physicality. And I'm always telling you guys that awareness gives you more control over your reality. You being aware of a potential reality, of a potentiality in your reality, already brings it closer to you. Okay? So awareness literally equals a first degree of materialization. And materialization is simply a synonym for densifying a vibration. because material stuff, even solid stuff, is mere vibration, just like slowed down, okay? Materialization. So they discovered that somebody who observed the potentiality, it collapsed into a particle, and for people who stopped observing, the vibration kept doing the same thing. So on this is like the subatomic plane, basically, the subatomic level, okay, plane. And so that's why scientists for decades were like puzzled, because they were like, okay, no, it's actually a wave. No, it's actually a particle. It's actually a wave. It's actually a particle. It's both, but it depends on the observer. Okay, so that's number one. Number one is like, if somebody observes, usually it collapses. If somebody is aware of this potentiality, it usually collapses into particle, into first degree of materialization. And this basically concludes that your awareness of a potentiality in your life already creates a first degree of materialization, which is very, very important. Now, number two, the second most important aspect of this experiment that they did was working with people's expectations. They discovered that for the same person, if that person, let's say, wanted to see a wave, or expected to see a wave, then what happened? They saw a wave. They saw a vibration. But if that person, that same person, expected to see a particle, then, can you guess it?
No, let them guess.
They saw a particle. What does that tell you? It tells you that indeed, this means that your expectations of reality influences reality, right? Influences the outcome. For the scientists that wanted to see or expected to see a vibration, they saw a vibration. For the scientists expecting to see a particle, they saw a particle. This literally means that your expectations create your outcome. And this is also linked to the spiritual law of expectation, law of assumption. As you assume something, for instance, the easiest way to conceptualize this is when you assume attraction towards somebody else, right? You see a beautiful girl and you assume that she's attracted to you. Well, you collapse the probability into her being actually more attracted to you and actually wanting you. So what is another word for expectation? Or sorry, what determines your expectations, right? What determines your expectations? Well, it actually is, let me choose this one. The things that determines your expectations are your beliefs. For instance, if you expect to become a millionaire, for instance, or a multimillionaire, then this means that your belief system is congruent of somebody who has the potential of becoming a millionaire. You would never, for instance, let's say that you have been working at McDonald's, a McDonald's worker for like 30 years, and you believe that the world is against you, that you're bound to stay poor your entire fucking life, then obviously you don't expect to become a millionaire, right? So your belief creates your expectation. Now, let's reverse engineer even further. What determines your beliefs? Well, what determines your belief is your identity. Okay? Your identity. So literally, by changing your identity, so your self-concept and the way you view the world, that's basically what we call identity. I'm going to list a bunch of different elements that comprises the identity later down the line. That way you guys can really know with extreme clarity and extreme detail how we change our identity. But when you change our identity, when we change our self-concept and the concept that we have and the view that we have about the world, we naturally change our belief system, therefore we change our expectations, and therefore we change the outcome. This is what the observer effect has proven. This is the most fucking important thing that you guys can know in this video. You need to use these results of the observer effect every single day of every single instant of your life. Now, this literally means, because outcome, in this case, outcome and reality are synonym. So this literally means that if you change your identity, it will change your reality. Okay? This is the most important thing that you need to write down. Okay? I'm gonna give you 2 seconds to write down this very important stuff. Have you written it? Cool. By the way, this is very important to understand. Because of the many worlds model concept, even though this is the same person, right? This is, for instance, this is you expecting a particle, this is you expecting a vibration. They still, both of these outcomes still exist into 2 different parallel universes, okay? So basically the simple expectation creates different timelines, creates different parallel universes. So you see, in the first example, it was the action of building the time machine and meeting your mother that created another timeline. But in this case, it's the expectations. So already you guys start to understand that it's not only your actions, but it's also the mental plane that determines if you create multiple parallel realities or not. Cool. Coming back to this very much important equation, identity equals reality. What does that tell you? This, my friends, implies a plethora of things, but most importantly, it implies the most important understanding of the universe that's going to make your life 10 times easier. Je vais peut-être le clean, non? C'est moche? Non, c'est bon. All right, so what does that tell you? This is the equation that I want you to write. Delta identity equals delta reality. This means if you change your identity, you're going to change your reality. If you improve your identity, you're going to improve your reality. But obviously, as you guys are not dumb motherfuckers, you understand as well that if you lower your identity and you become a douchebag and an asshole over time, then obviously you're going to lower your identity because this is linked. The identity and the reality is absolutely linked. So that helps you understand that stop trying to change the outside circumstances. Stop trying to change people. Stop trying to change the world. Stop trying to focus on the government and on the politics and stuff like that. Instead, change yourself. This is the biggest leverage, okay? Stop focusing on this, on reality, on the outside world. Start changing yourself. And I'm sure you've noticed, guys, by the way, in your life, the moment you started to level up, the moment you started to work on your personal development, the moment you started to become a better person, what usually happened? People around you started to respect you more, started to reflect that back to you because the universe is a mirror, right? This is literally why we say the universe is a mirror, right? Universe is literally a mirror because what we've proven in quantum physics here, okay? Okay, this is a mirror. So basically, if you send out bullshit into the universe, it's going to get back to you bullshit. If you send out positivity, then obviously you're going to get back positivity because of this inevitable and existential equation. So I'm sure you've noticed, as you get better, you become healthier, you respect yourself more by going to the gym, for instance. Weirdly enough, people start respecting you as well. Weirdly enough, the reality gets better. You get easier partners, you get better business deals or anything like that. Because why? You respect yourself enough to take care of your temple, to take care of your body, right? And therefore, your reality follows through. Now, linking this back, because this is pure quantum physics, but this is literally what they've been saying in ancient texts of spirituality for fucking millennia, okay? this is linked to the spiritual concept of the oversoul. What is it, the oversoul? So basically the oversoul is your higher self that is experiencing a bunch of different realities simultaneously at the same time. But you are not necessarily aware of these parallel realities, right? You are here watching your screen in this specific reality that you have, right? With different types of events. Cool. The easiest way for you to conceptualize the oversoul concept, okay? And by the way, all of this, if you integrate and conceptualize and intellectualize and make sure that you understand and understand everything that I'm speaking about in this video, you're going to be above 99% of people, okay? Absolutely not. Like, most people are not aware of this, not aware of this knowledge. They're not aware of why they're having bullshit happening in their lives, but also, most importantly, they're not aware that they're constantly recreating the same circumstances. That's why their life feels like it's a time loop, because they are not changing their identity. They're acting like robots. And we're going to tell you exactly how to stop if you feel like you're still stuck in a time loop, that that events keep happening in the same way over and over again. I'm going to tell you exactly how to break through that time loop for you to quantum jump into a better reality. Is it clear so far?
Of course.
Cool. So the oversoul concept is basically, I want you to see a hand, okay? Let me give you an example. My hand here, okay? I have my two fingers here, okay? This finger touches the material of the whiteboard, okay? Touch the whiteboard. This finger touches the material of the wall, okay? This finger is not aware of the sensation of this finger. And this finger is not aware of the sensation of this finger. But you, because you have the ramification of the nerves and the sensation, you are aware of both scenarios. You're aware of both sensations. And it's the same thing with your reality. This is you, or this is you. Your oversoul is the hand. You are the finger. You're not aware of the parallel universe that is happening in your other version of yourself, your subsoul, but your oversoul at the end is the ramifications of all the parallel experiences that you are currently living. Now, why is this so important? Well, because that's what's been proven with two of the most, in my opinion, humbling and experiencing and interesting studies. The study of NDEs, near-death experiences, and the study of OBEs, out-of-body experiences. This is basically astral travel, right? People who do some astral projection and astral travel, basically. Not the fake ones, the true ones, okay? Because what has been proven first and foremost on people who have died, so this, by the way, this implies that like they died, so either heart failure or brain failure. And then they came back, they got resurrected, right? But the most important part of the NDEs, in my humble opinion, is actually the brain failure, because most scientists, why they discarded the NDEs and they discarded what people saw in the spiritual realms, and when they came back, reported back to the mortal world, is basically because they said, okay, your heart was failing, but your brain could have still imagined a bunch of bullshit. And this is why now they stop being conflicted about the idea that there is actually a spiritual world, because a lot of people have literally had brain failure where the brain didn't have any activity, and still yet when they were dead, they still saw very vivid, hyper real realms, and then reported that back to the doctors. So basically, the brain failure, they were dead, the brain had no activity whatsoever, and when they came back to life, they basically said that they met God, that they met angels, that they met spiritual beings and entities. And that's actually our truth, is that we are not human beings. We're not human beings living a spiritual existence. We're spiritual beings living a human experience. We've decided before this earth, before this incarnation, before this life, to lower our vibration to enter a condensed world, which is the 3D dimension, a condensed planet, which is the planet Earth, and a condensed body of vibration, which is our human avatar right now. So basically, NDEs has proven that indeed you are much more than what you think you are. Right now you're like a tiny single finger as a subsoul, but you're actually much more than that. You're an oversoul with a bunch of different experiences, past lives, parallel lives. And OBEs as well proved that astral travel gets you back up in higher vibrations, or vibrational worlds, basically. All of this to say that what they've discovered in quantum physics with identity equals reality is also what has been discovered in the study of NDEs, the study, or what people have had in these reported back, what people have had astral travel, out of body experiences have had, and also the spiritual realm of things. And one very important understanding that you guys need to have when it comes to NDEs and OBEs is that they all reported back the same thing, which is the eternal truth, which we are a part of the universe. The universe, the infinite / God, the God force. If you guys are like, oh, I don't want to personify God. By the way, God is not a fucking bearded man in the sky. It's much more than that. The conceptualization of certain religions of a bearded guy in the sky is so limited, but it's normal because at the time, some ancient texts and sacred texts were written in a way for the current population intellect was able to conceptualize. But the truth is, the God force and God is indescriptible with human terms. It's like much more than that. So one of the things that they said, by the way, when they met God is that it is unconditional love, that you're always loved and stuff like that. But either way, that we are a part of this God force, that we are a particle of God. Now, why is this so important? All of these concepts. Not only because at the end of the video, you're going to have much more confidence in yourself and your ability to actually change your reality, or at least quantum jump into a parallel reality, but also because you're not fucking meant to lose. That's the reality of the game. You are meant to win. You are part of the infinite. You are part of the most powerful force ever. So you being there and being a loser and being like, oh, my life is bullshit, is not part of the plan. You decided to incarnate. Yes, of course, you may have had bad family, bad hand dealt to you because your soul decided that when it wanted to incarnate, but you're meant to win. In this life, you are meant to win. You're meant to ascend. You're meant to elevate. You're not meant to stagnate, okay? You are meant to win. You didn't decide. It's like when you play a video game. Literally, this life is like a video game. You are playing an avatar right now. In a game, what's the fucking point? To lose? Of course not. You are meant to win. So, now that we know that we are a particle of God and that our identity creates our reality, if we want to have a godlike reality, then we need to be a better, more godlike version of ourselves. Cool. Now, let's go back to particle of God thing. God, okay? What do we know about God? We know 3 things, okay? We know 3 things about God. And this is not a stretch, by the way. This is obvious. God is omniscient, right? Knows everything. Is omnipotent, obviously, right? And omnipresent. Now, why is it important for us to know this? Well, because remember, the prerequisite is that, or the premise, is that you are a particle of God. Particle of the God force. Okay? That's you. So, you are a particle of the omniscience. And how can you tap into, that means that potentially you can tap into infinite amount of knowledge. Okay? How do we do that? Well, why do you think that all the geniuses and all the inventors never used logical reasoning to be able to invent drastically life-changing, earth-shattering technologies? They used what? They used intuition. And intuition literally means inner tuition, inner guidance. So if you want to tap into a small body of the omniscience, basically of the infinite knowledge, you need to tap into your intuition. Cool. Now, omnipotent, what does that mean? It means that God created all realities, right? He created infinity. What does that mean to create infinity? Well, created infinity, aka infinite versions of reality. Why is this so important? Because everything has already been created. So you are not doing the creation because everything is already created. So chill the fuck down. The version of you that already has the Ferrari, the multi-billion-dollar company, the career in skydiving is already there. It already exists because everything has already been created by the creator because this force is omnipotent. Everything, it created infinity. Infinity is inclusive, not exclusive. It includes everything. So it includes all the realities that you potentially want. Therefore, it already exists. What you want already exists. And therefore, you're not doing the creation, you're doing the quantum jumping into a better reality. So that should chill you the fuck down. So your reality already exists and you're able to tap into the knowledge, potential knowledge and potential actions bringing you into that reality. Cool. This force is also omnipresent. What does that mean? It means outside of you, it's outside of you, but also inside of you. This is why Jesus said the temple of God is within you, the kingdom of God is within you, right? Because it's everywhere, it permeates the entire fucking universe, okay? Even this whiteboard is God. Because at the subatomic level, all the vibration, the energy that allows for life, that allows for creation, that allows for the vibration is God, okay? So God is outside of you, but also inside of you. So you are God. And this is not to say in a blasphemous, egotistical way. It's because you are a particle of God. So you are also God. So why is this so important to understand? It's basically because you are constantly interacting with God at any single instant of your life. You are constantly interacting with the God force. Interacting with the God force. Oops, the God force or God. Now, why is this so absolutely crucial? Because how can you expect to have a great reality if you're a dumbass douchebag motherfucker? It doesn't make sense. If you're constantly interacting with the God force, right now I'm interacting with the God force. I'm interacting every single instant. You as well. How can you expect the God force for you to build an alliance with the God force if you are an idiot on one side of your life and then you expect on the other side of your life to be better? It doesn't make sense. Every single instant you are interacting with this insane energy. Separation is an illusion. That's what they've said in spiritual texts, but also what they've proven with NDEs and OBEs and quantum physics. There's no separation. We think that we are separate from everything, but that's just a game. That's part of the game. But it's actually the same consciousness. Everything is consciousness in this universe, right? God force, God, consciousness is pure consciousness is the same thing. Everything, consciousness permeates everything. So you're constantly interacting. Everything is one. What does that mean? It means that you cannot expect to have a better reality if one part of your life you're a douchebag. If, let's say, for instance, you treat one client badly, you cannot expect the same thing, which is the same energy. If you treat this energy on one side badly, the same energy cannot be coming back to you positively, right? This is also why the universe is a mirror. This is also why we call it karma, or we call it the law of correspondence. It's basically because every single input, the quality of the input, which is energetical, the quality of input that you permeates into the God force that is all around you and within you, naturally gets back to you because all is one, right? It's like, are you polluting the water in which you are or are you making it more pristine? Okay, the more you pollute the water with negative thoughts, negative actions, not taking care of aspects of your life, let's say for instance you're overweight, if you're not taking care of your body or of your temple or your health, then don't expect to have better results in other aspects of your life because it's the same energy. The more you better your body, you'll see all of the clients that we've had with Olivier as well, all the clients that got better in better shape, more jacked, more shredded, weirdly enough, they got more business. Because psychology will tell you, oh, it's because people respect you more. Yeah, that's psychology, but you understand that everything is linked, right? It's also the frequency, the aura. It's been proven that people who are more in shape have a better aura than people who are not in shape, for instance, or overweight, right? Overall. So be very careful with that. You're constantly interacting with the God force. So therefore, what you need to do is develop an impeccable attitude towards every single aspect of your life. Why do you think I'm so fucking obsessed telling you need to excel in every single aspect? It's not enough to make money. It's not enough to be healthy. It's not enough to have girls. You need to excel in every single aspect. What's the fucking point of you being a multi-billionaire if your kids don't respect you, if your wife cheats on you and you're a fat fuck and you look in the mirror and you want to kill yourself? It doesn't make sense. You need to excel in every single aspect. And I'm sick and tired of seeing like guys who are unidimensional. We often talk about this on the channel of Olivier, by the way. Men who are unidimensional, then they wonder why their life is shit. Because again, how can you expect, if you see the God force as one, how can you expect of only putting 10% of the time positive inputs into the God force and the other 90% is mediocre? How can you expect other things than mediocre energy to come back to you? It doesn't make fucking sense. So you need to have an impeccable attitude and start excelling in every single aspect. You need to become a multi-dimensional winning individual. And this is what this YouTube channel is dedicated to make you and to help you achieve. And this is also why this saying that nobody really truly understood, but now you're going to understand it, is how you do one thing is how you do everything. Most people who say that are dumbasses because they don't even fucking understand why this works. But now you know, because doing one thing, not only, yeah, of course you can say, yeah, but you know, psychologically it makes sense because if you do one thing very good, then obviously it has like a spillover on other things, on other aspects of reality, and you develop a discipline that you can transmute and permeate into other aspects of your reality. Yeah, of course. But now you know exactly quantum physically on the subatomic level, energetically, why this is so important. Because how you do one thing, aka how you interact with the God force, is how you do everything, aka how you interact with the God force. So it's the same and unique thing. This is why you need to have you need to develop an impeccable attitude, and this comes back to our equation of identity equals reality. Identity equals reality. Now you know, right? If you want to have a better reality, then you need to have a better identity. That's normal because reality and identity is the same thing. How you interact, how you are with the God force is what the God force will be with you, aka your reality. Extremely important. By the way, don't come at me and say, oh, this is bullshit, this is not proven, because they literally prove that with quantum entanglement in quantum physics. Literally, they've proven that on the subatomic level, everything is linked. That a particle, when you change a particle that is intricated and entangled with another particle, one change of the particle instantly changes the particle no matter this distance. Even Einstein was puzzled by this effect. So they have also proven this in scientific manner with the quantum entanglement concept. Is it clear so far, Olivier?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. So already with this, guys, with this knowledge, you're already above 99% of people, okay? So if with this knowledge, you don't start to excel in every single aspect, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Cool. So, est-ce que j'ai besoin de nettoyer le tableau ou ouais, là il commence à être un peu dégueu, non?
Oui, je peux.
Okay. Amazing, amazing. So let me just clean the board a bit, and then we'll get into how exactly, specifically, do you quantum jump your consciousness into the right parallel universe, okay? Making sure that you're doing that every single day. and every single time, not to fucking sabotage you, self-sabotage yourself and self-sabotage your reality. Because yeah, it's fine and all that you now understand how it's important, right? But how do you do that now? Like step-by-step framework. I'm gonna tell you exactly too. Yeah, it's good, it's good. We're at 41 minutes. So I only have like 2 things to tell you left, and then we'll conclude. So no, not this one, the other one. How do you actually quantum jump? Simple, okay? So this is you, okay? You go about your day. This is an event that is happening in your life. Now, the choice that you will make on this event will determine if you quantum jump into a negative parallel universe. This is a highway, basically like a road, if you will, just to conceptualize and make it easy for you guys to understand. Okay, this one. Or a positive reality, parallel universe. Now, the important thing here is this. This is the important thing. This is the event, okay? This is an event happening in your life. The response, or how you choose to respond to this event, will determine if you get to a negative one, negative universe, parallel universe, or a positive one. Negative PU, parallel universe, and this is a positive PU. Okay? You have 2 choices. You can either react to the event or respond to the event. Now, what does that mean? React means react, aka act again. Act like the old you, basically, like you used to, like the old you. Old you. What does that mean? Like your previous identity, like the lower version of yourself. And usually when we react, if you look at the map of consciousness, usually it's something linked to low vibrations. So anger, fear, shame, guilt, because that's the emotions that are very reactive, that are very primal. It comes from our reptilian brain. This is also why people who cannot control their stress, they usually are very reactive. They're usually very quick to react negatively to things with low levels of emotions, low level of vibrations. Therefore, people who cannot manage their stress will never be able to quantum jump into parallel realities that are positive. This is why controlling your stress, meditation, with exercising, with healthy diets, with healthy relationship is primordial if you're looking to quantum jump into parallel realities where you have everything that you desire. Cool. So usually reacting makes you end up in the negative parallel universe. And if you look at the map of consciousness with the frequency, usually it's low frequency here, like low vibration. It's low vibration action, basically. Now, response, what does that mean? Response. Response actually gets you into the positive parallel universe. But what does that mean? Well, responding means acting like the better version of yourself. The better version of yourself. And you notice as well that having a response usually takes more time than having a reaction. Reaction is nearly instant. Response is, hold on, let me calm down, and then you choose. You see what I mean? So that means what? That means that it's a conscious choice. Conscious choice. It's you are very intentional with what you do. Reaction is unconscious, right? Reaction is unconscious. And what did Carl Jung said? One of my favorite psychologists and psychiatrists. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, you will face the same circumstances over and over again in your life, and you will call it fate. Not understanding that it's your unconscious, your subconscious mind that determines 95% of your reality. This is also why I'm huge into you guys reprogramming your subconscious mind. So reacting is unconscious, responding is conscious. Now with this new type of knowledge, this new awareness, next time some stuff happen to you, instead of reacting like your negative self, you're gonna start responding like the better version of yourself, making a conscious decision to act from a high vibration action. Okay? Vibration action. And if you look at the map of consciousness, usually a high vibration action is stemming from love, from abundance, from all the higher level of vibrations that you can find on the map. And this is also why you understand this sentence that people say and throw around without ever fucking understanding this, is actually that life is about 10% events and 90% how you react to them. Now you understand why people are throwing this shit around. Even most people don't even understand why this is so important, because the event in of it itself is not what matters. You will have events happening in your life. Every single day we have events that can either lead a positive way or a stray way, a negative way. It's really and truly 90% of how you react to them, how you react / respond, right? Obviously, respond. So make sure that you bring your unconscious reaction or your unconscious to the conscious. Make sure you take time, you slow down whenever there's an event and choose the correct and appropriate response. This is literally how you're going to quantum jump into positive parallel universe. Why? Because, as Tesla said, if you want to discover the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And as Einstein said, if you want a specific reality, you need to match the corresponding frequency, and you cannot help but get that reality. What did they tell you, these two geniuses? They told you that everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything is consciousness, essentially. Everything is God force. So it makes sense. If you want a better reality here, you need to align vibrationally, right? You need to align vibrationally with this reality. Therefore, choosing the right high vibrational action. And sometimes the right vibrational action is to not do anything. Sometimes it's just like to stay calm and not do anything and wait for things to happen. But it's extremely important for you to understand that you're constantly interacting with the God force with your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your words. Be very, very aware, be very conscious and intentional with everything that you do on a daily basis, because every single day, you're not aware of this, but every single day you're quantum jumping your consciousness into positive or negative parallel universes. So the biggest thing is really to stay congruent with the person you're trying to become. Stay congruent, okay? Now, last drawing that I'll do, I'm going to tell you exactly why it's important to focus up on your vibration, making sure you do this, but also how to every single time choose the right decision, choose the right consciousness decision. So, quantum jump into parallel universes. For you to really understand this, because everything is vibration, consciousness, and energy and frequency, it's important to understand, I'm going to basically tell you the mechanism of how to change your reality, and then I'm going to give you an analogy for the mortals of you that is going to help understand, okay? So, here we have the mechanism of the universe in this line, and then we're going to have basically a metaphor or an analogy, a mortal analogy for you to understand. Cool. So, first and foremost, you've understood that number one is vibration / frequency calibration, which is extremely fucking important. Calibration. You need to calibration every single day you need to calibrate your frequency and your vibration. For those of you who are following me on Instagram, if you're not following me on Instagram and you want to chat with me and send me DMs, please go do that on my new Instagram. I am Hugo Christensen. But if you're following my daily story, you'll see me every single day. The first thing that I do when I wake up is calibrating my frequency and my vibration, because I know how important it is for all the events that I'm gonna reveal or attract or quantum jump into throughout the day, okay? So the vibration and frequency calibration is basically, an analogy would be you choosing a product on Amazon, right? Amazon.com, for instance, on Amazon. Okay? Then the next step of the mechanism of the universe is what we call identity affirming. Identity affirming. How do you affirm? Affirming. How do you affirm your identity? Well, you take action, right? You take action in a certain direction. So basically, action. This is why we'll often say action speaks louder than words and stuff like that. Okay? Action. What is the equivalent? Once you have the correct vibration and frequency, and therefore identity, what's the equivalent in the analogy? You choose a product on Amazon and then you place the order. You pay. Place the order. / you pay, right? You pay Amazon for the product. And then what happens is, because of you've affirmed a new identity, right, that you're trying to get to, well, what's going to happen is you're quantum jumping, your consciousness quantum jumping into another reality, right? And progressively over time, you start seeing synchronicities aligned with that new identity and that new reality that you're seeing. So you're starting to see better stuff happening around you, right? You quantum jump into another reality, and therefore you see new things happening. Okay? This is also in psychology, this is what they call the reticular activating system. Basically, your brain filters out. Your brain is literally a filter of reality. Okay? Your nervous system and your brain is literally a filter of reality. Because if you didn't have this filter, you couldn't even move, because there's too much stuff happening every single instant of every single moment. Okay? So your brain is literally a filter of reality, using in the physical world, reticular activating system to be able to bring your awareness towards the thing that you are reprogramming yourself with and that you're a corresponding identity with. Okay? So you're literally quantum jumping into another reality, and over time, very important, over time, this reality starts revealing itself. Because again, remember, everything has already been created. It's only over time that you start seeing things, synchronicities, seeing things that align with this. And the equivalent for Amazon here is obviously that Amazon delivers your reality package, basically. Now, what is important to understand here? This is nearly instant, right? It takes a few seconds for you to choose a product and you to pay. A few seconds. But from placing the order to receiving, except if you have Amazon Prime, and that also depends on your power and the strength of your frequency, the higher your frequency and the more momentum you've built already in your life, the more you have the Amazon Prime type of way. But usually it takes a few days, sometimes even weeks, right? Sometimes even months, depending on where you are in your life. So a few days, weeks, or a month. So it's the same fucking thing with the universe. It's the same thing. Here, your vibration frequency to taking an action is usually a few minutes, right? But then from the identity to your new reality, it may take a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a few years, depending on the size of the order. If your order is going from McDonald's worker to multi-billion-dollar business, then obviously the order is huge, it's humongous. So therefore it's going to take several months, several years for the Amazon universe to deliver your reality package. The bigger the reality, the bigger the package, the more time it's going to take for you to be delivered with that. The last thing is how to always make sure you quantum jump into the right reality or parallel universe. Reality or parallel universe. Very simple. First and foremost, you need to reverse engineer the quantum jump process. Simple. We start at the end. Okay, what is the reality that you're trying to have or that you're trying to quantum jump into? Extremely important, okay? Be extremely clear. That's why people who don't have clear, precise goals will never get them. You need to be extremely clear. You need to be crystal clear in your mind as images what type of reality you want. Reality, okay? Let's say that what I call the godlike reality is basically like the reality that you really want to experience as a finger in this dimension, in this parallel universe, okay? Then, with what we know, what you need to do is reverse engineer that and think of, okay, who is the person that is absolutely deserving of that identity? Where it's like, it's no questions asked that this person will get this reality or gets this reality, okay? Identity. Then you think of this identity, that person, okay? Is that person, I don't know, what type of actions does this person make, think, feel, and stuff like that? Be extremely clear on, okay, what is the type of identity that is needed? And then what you do is you bring that identity into the now, into the present, into now, present, right now. You don't wait, you bring it. And what does that mean? It means that you actually embody that identity. It means what? It means that you start to think, feel, speak, and act like this identity, okay? As of now, you start to think, feel, speak, act as this identity now. You embody that identity. And now to make the task even simpler for you to have fucking zero excuses, we're going to dissect what comprises an identity. And this is going to be the exercise that I want you guys to take from as a homework from this video, is basically what are the elements comprising an identity. Intentions, imagination, beliefs, attention, emotion, communication, action. Those are the elements that comprises an identity, okay? What are the intentions of the person that has this reality? How does that person imagine life? What power of imagination does this person have? What type of belief system does this person have? Where does this person put its attention? What type of emotion is she nurturing or is he nurturing? What type of communication style does he have? What type of action does he take on a single, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis? I want you, this is literally your homework. I want you to reverse engineer this, looking at your reality. What type of person do you need to become? What is the person that is inevitably worthy of that reality? And then dissect and chunk down its intentions, its imagination, the belief system that he holds, the attention, where he puts his attention on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, the emotion that he has based on the map of consciousness, the communication styles, and the action that it takes. This is your unique goal in life. Unique goal in life. Because when you start embodying the godlike identity version of yourself, naturally, it's a guarantee that your reality will come through. Because it's the law of the universe. The time delay in which it takes depends on the intensity that in which you embody every single one of these elements, creating your identity. And when you truly are embodying that identity, you don't even care about the timeline because you are already living in that reality. Thank you for your attention. Go crush it, guys.